What's up, athletes and fans? Welcome to another episode of Athlete POV. I'm your host, Charlie Paulucci. Before this video starts, leave a like, subscribe if you're not already, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment down below for who you think we should get on this podcast next.
I know it's early morning for you on the West Coast. I'm over on the East Coast, about noon here. But looking over yourself, doing a little research about yourself, you're involved in so many different things, not just football. So the main thing I want to ask you is, what are you most proud of? What are you most proud of? Most proud accomplishment?
I think it's my faith, and it's honestly something that carries over to every aspect of my life. It's it's a big term right now. Why? Find your why. That's really my why, and I'm very blessed to have been raised in a household where I was taught that growing up. But I also, from a young age, have been able to form my own connection, my own faith, and I'm excited to see where it takes me next.
Absolutely. And one of the main things that I've really saw from you is your involvement with the recently introduced NIL bills that are going around college sports right now. Going to that, I know you were at a summit the other day, probably pertaining to NIL. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so NIL, first off, I want to thank Ed O'Bannon. Ed O'Bannon really spearheaded the whole movement when he sued over EA Sports using college athletes' image and likeness and not giving any type of equity to the student athletes off of the game. And for a long time, he was really ostracized and hated because of it. And nowadays, you look and the public opinion is shifting towards supporting NIL. And I just want to take the time right now to say thank you, Ed O'Bannon. He's a UCLA great. He won, a championship. He was the Naismith Player of the Year. He's a great. I'm excited to meet him one day and tell him thank you. So when it comes to NIL, it's really an equity issue. That was mentioned by Justice Kavanaugh when writing about the decision to rule against the NCAA. And a lot of these student athletes come from low-income households, come from backgrounds where they're people of color, where we're in a nation where historically these groups have been disenfranchised. And for an industry that has made billions over the years, to not provide any type of equity or empowerment opportunities to the student athletes that are an integral role of the whole, machine working, I think that was a huge issue. And to be able to participate now at a time where NIL, which was really started by UCLA Bruin, is taking place, it's a huge blessing. Right now, it's a young market, and I don't take that lightly. I know that the decisions and the way that I carry myself now and the way that, people in my cohort of athletes of these next couple of years carry themselves through their deals, the way that brands do things are going to set the market for years to come. So I think it's very important that we have different avenues for student athletes to thrive in this space.
Absolutely. Couldn't really have said that better from an athlete's point of view, especially. What are some more aspects that you're involved in besides now NIL?
Right. So when I break down my own NIL journey, I really think about three things. Step one for me are my personal values. How do I align with the brand that I'm working with? Step two is the economic value. Is this deal worth my time and energy? Does it help increase equity for myself and my future family? And then third is empowerment. How can I use this deal, use my personal values, use the equity that I gain from a deal to empower the community around me? And that goes into hashtag NIL for good. Use your name, image, and likeness for the benefit of those around you. And growing up, I served at the Round Rock Serving Center back in my hometown, and it was great. You really built a community with the people who would come by, both on the donation side and the people who relied on these donations to sometimes eat. And you realize how important that service is and how many lives it can touch. Well, the LA Food Bank, now that I'm here, touches so many lives, and really it is a stable source of food for a lot of communities. And I found out about the weekend backpack program where kids who rely on school lunch and free subsidized lunch to eat during the week don't have this option on the weekends. So LA Food Bank has a program where they give them these bags of food. That way they can eat over the weekend. And it really just touched my heart. And I wanted to make sure that a piece of all of the proceeds that I earn goes to the LA Food Bank backpack program.
Wow, that's a lot of unpacking, a lot of giving back, which is very good and represents your character perfectly. I saw this interview on Twitter with Chip Kelly, UCLA's coach, and he was like, if you're going to invest in a player, chase the guy you invest in long term, because obviously what you just said and your future endeavors are just and overall a great person, probably one of the top athletes giving back and just overall more than an athlete is what I'm trying to say. And that's great. And I'm sure a lot of people look at you as a leader. So my next question to you would probably be, what makes a leader? What qualities make up yourself and someone that's looking to take a leadership role, say at their local college or where they are?
Right. I just wrote a paper about this. So I'm in the School of Education's Transformative Coaching and Leadership program. And our professors are top notch. We have some former coaches who are still in the space teaching some of these classes. So one of my teachers is Miss Val, who is a legendary gymnastics coach, probably the most storied of all time. And then you have Coach Sue Anquist, who's one of the best softball coaches of all time, who really started building the UCLA softball program to what it is today. And in Coach Anquist's class, we had to write a paper on our leadership journey. And thinking about it, I realized that for me, leadership starts with self-leadership. I was raised in a household where excellence was expected. I was the first child. On both sides, there was this real focus on academics. My mother was a teacher, and my father, while he's not in the space, came from a long line of principals and teachers in the Jim Crow South where they still found ways to receive top education. And I was really just inspired by both sides to realize the impact that academics can have on how you feel, what you know, and your ability to make upward mobility. And I don't take that lightly. When I came here, I wanted to find a major that suited me and suited what I believed I wanted to get from UCLA, and public affairs was that. I was blessed enough to enter in that program and graduate in 2.5 years with a lot of eligibility left. So I'm still making the most of my UCLA journey. But when I look back on leadership, I think it comes from self-leadership. I was able to lead myself early through training, through faith, through whatever I put my mind to. And when you're sure about yourself and you know who you are, you're able to help others, because I feel like in order to have compassion, you have to realize who you are as yourself, and then you can see others for who they are and best cater to their needs.
Interesting. And now just to follow up to what you just said, do you think it would be possible for an individual to go out and lead a group of people without themselves being, like you said, a leader for themselves? Do you think it is like sort of like a ladder or steps in a way?
I think everyone sort of has intrinsic value. I think the way that all people are created, we have everything that we need inside of us. It's just about using life's experiences through faith and connection and pulling that out of yourself. And I think that leadership can come from everywhere. I don't think that everyone's a great leader, but everyone, and that's all the time. I think part of leadership is consistency, but I think that a great leader can come from anywhere.
Very good. And now, just going off another thing that you're into, music. I saw that how you came out with like your own beat, and then you posted on Instagram, and we saw all that. What's now the music? What's your musical background now?
Right. So I started playing violin at around like 3.5, 4, and if I would have stuck with it, I probably would have been very, very good. I played it for a long time, like over a decade, and honestly, I need to pick it back up. But I've always loved music. It's always been something that calms me. It's probably, even more than sports, my favorite passion. And while I definitely don't dedicate as much time to that as other things, anytime that I'm able to create music or listen to music, I think it's a huge blessing and a huge reset for me. So I've been making beats since probably like middle school, but over the past year or so, I've gotten more serious about it just as a hobby. And, over practice, you get better at things. And I don't like making music unless it sounds good. So I definitely try my best on all of them. And I have probably around 10 songs out right now. I'm actually working on a project with another player in the Pac-12 right now, where I just sent him over a beat. We'll see how that goes. I'm excited to get back. But no, it's just something that's fun. It's definitely something that's engaging. And you never know where things like that lead. So it's all good fun. And I'll keep continuing to work out of my iron on that.
Definitely. And when you mentioned that you have 10 songs out and it's just really a hobby and you're going to keep doing it because it's fun to you. And now, from a social media background of myself, something I know is it takes one big thing to make it go to elevate a career or elevate something that you thought was just something for fun. So, I mean, I guess advice if you're really into it, which it seems like you are, keep doing it. And eventually, it only takes one thing, one notice by one person, to make it, not even to make it, to get into where you want to be and to advance. Definitely. So now, talked all about stuff outside of football. Let's talk about football now. UCLA, 2 years, not this past year, year before, you played a couple games and you led a comeback. How was that versus Arizona? I'm pretty sure, right?
That was against Stanford.
Stanford, right?
We didn't finish it the way we wanted. We beat Arizona. We
right. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. So, no, it was fun playing against Oregon. That was my first start. We should have won that game. I think if there was a little bit more time on the clock, we would have. But that's how things go. It's a huge blessing to get my first start there. The environment was great. Even though they didn't have a crowd, it was legal that year to pump in the equivalent of the crowd noise. So the crowd noise was pretty crazy that they were playing in there. So it was rocking. And then my first start in the Rose Bowl was against Arizona. The next game we won. Had a pretty clean game that game. And then against Stanford, we were having a pretty slow first half. I came in towards the end of the last drive of the first half, and then the second half, and ended up having one of the best performances in the history of UCLA in the past 10 years. So it was a huge blessing. That was the last time I played, really.
Right.
And next time I play, I'll be better. So
definitely. And
that's how I looked at it.
And now, to build off that, what do you think the future of next year and the years after have for you? Because I know you have 3 years of eligibility left, right?
Yeah. I mean, only God knows. Of course, this next year, I'm pretty set in stone that I want to win a Rose Bowl for UCLA. This is the school that I chose. This is the school that I love. And I'm excited to go from there.
Do you think the decision to go to UCLA was based off anything specifically? Like, was there a factor that was like, yeah, UCLA is my school?
Absolutely. I think it was both a full circle destiny moment and also the right choice. I was born in UCLA, Santa Monica Hospital, down Wilshire. Right now, I live right off Wilshire, about 4 miles away from where I was born, which is crazy to think, considering I wasn't really raised here. I was raised in Texas.
Right.
So there's that, and then there's the overarching UCLA, what it means to be here. I mentioned Ed O'Bannon, but he's just one of many greats who made social progress. You have Jackie Robinson, who integrated really all major sports. Then you have Kenny Washington, who reintegrated the NFL. And then you have Jackie Joyner Kersee, FloJo, and Myers Drysdale. All these individuals were people who were pioneers as far as sports for women. And the list can go on. Arthur Ashe, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There's been so many figures who have come from sports at UCLA that I'd argue that one of UCLA as an institution's biggest prides is UCLA athletics. And to have the opportunity to come here to a school that's also the #1 public school in the nation, the most applied to school in the nation, it is the dream school. And to be able to play here, I was very grateful and still am to Coach Kelly for giving me the opportunity. And I'm glad I made this choice.
Wow. it's a lot to unpack there, but definitely worth it in the long run. Not just now, in the long run for you as well. If you had if you had any advice for kids that are in high school looking for, say, to play sports at the next level, and they were a big thing on Athletic Minds is we talk about mental health a lot and how the impact isn't really being talked about enough pertaining to athletes. What would you say to somebody that's struggling with their mental health, who's also an athlete, looking to advance their level, but they're either struggling or they're like trying to figure out where they are in their life, really?
Right. I think it was really great for me. Obviously, COVID, the disease is horrible, and the impact that's had on so many people and was terrible. For me, it also gave me the opportunity to go home. And I think going home, it made me think uh, about the ways that I was winning. And I think that's important as an athlete. A lot of the time we get ourselves so wrapped up in the identity of my sport, this, and that. And most of the kids in college were stars at their high schools. And they got wrapped up in that. Like, I'm a star because I played well. Well, no, you doing well for other reasons too, because of the hard work, because of this, and that. And once you get to college, I know definitely it was an adjustment for me that first year not playing. I was coming off of being the best player in the state of Texas to on the bench. And that's something that you have to adjust to and recalibrate what you think you are. And just because you're not playing or it's not going the way you think you thought it would go does not mean that you're any less you or you're any less as special as you've been told or you believe yourself to be. And I really had to take a step back and realize, wow, I'm really about to get my degree in 2.5 years. Wow, I just saved my family 200,000. That really helps, and I get a stipend. I didn't even know about NIL yet. Now I can count that as a huge win. And I was really able to look at all the ways that I was winning. I still have my faith. I still had, the things that made me me, regardless of playing or not. And I think that in the athlete world, we often wrap our identity in how we're playing and if we're playing. And that's why you see kids who are at institutions that are fine institutions who end up checking out and who end up not realizing how special an opportunity they have. And I would just hope that every single athlete or individual who's watching this, just because one aspect of your life isn't going the way you thought it would, does not mean that you're not winning. Because for most of these people on these college campuses, they have the opportunity of a lifetime, and taking full advantage of it is key in setting up how the rest of your life can go.
Very well. And just to sum up a brief history about yourself and your athletic career, 2019 was your first year at UCLA, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the year that you saw no playing time, but then the COVID year happened, you went home. You think, like you mentioned, going home, that was maybe, like you said, a turning point so you can more, like, a realization to yourself of, like, your wins. Like, it doesn't change you that you're not on the field, like, yourself personally. That's what I'm trying to get at there.
Absolutely. And I think it helped because I had a clear mind when I was on the field. I had nothing to lose. I was just playing to win.
Absolutely, man. All right, that was another episode of Athlete POV. We want to thank Chase for coming on. We're excited to see what the future holds for him. I know he's involved in so many things, and we'll definitely keep in touch, keep on track with him, and wish you the best, man.
No, thank you so much, Charlie.
Of course.